The ugly truth about the sex life of Caligula. Caligula is one of history's most notorious figures, known for his cruelty, decadence, and scandalous behavior. But even if you think you know everything about him, there's one aspect of his life that's been largely ignored by historians: his sex life. In this video, we're going to uncover the shocking and explicit truth about Caligula's sexual escapades. From his rumored incestuous relationships to his reputedly insatiable appetite for sexual pleasure, the truth about Caligula's sex life is both scandalous and fascinating. So buckle up and get ready to learn the ugly truth about the sex life of Caligula. Caligula sought sexual favors from a large number of women, including his 3 sisters, in addition to his 4 wives. He sexually assaulted one of his sisters and then coerced her into marrying Marcus Lepidus, his male lover. He turned his other sisters into prostitutes and had sexual relations with the spouses of his friends. After engaging in sexual activity with the partner's wife, he forbade her and the other woman to ever again have sexual relations with their husbands, and then initiated divorce processes in their husbands' names in public. The phrase, "off comes the head whenever I give the word," was one of the seductive tidbits that he would murmur into the ear of his lovers. Julia Paulina was Caligula's consort, and Pliny describes her as having been clad with emeralds and pearls, interwoven and alternately sparkling all over her head, hair, ears, neck, and fingers, with the entire amount totaling to about 40 million sesterces. Around 1,200 sesterces were the amount that a soldier was paid on an annual basis. It is not simple to decide whether he acted more basely in contracting his marriages, in annulling them, or as a husband. He was present at the wedding of Livia or Estilla and Gallus Piso, and gave instructions for the bride to be transported to his own house, and divorced her within a few days of the wedding. 2 years later, he exiled her because he had the suspicion that she had returned to her previous husband in the interim. Others say that when he was invited to the wedding banquet, he sent word to Piso, who reclined opposite him, saying, "Don't take liberties with my wife." He then immediately carried her off with him from the table, and the following day he issued a proclamation that he had gotten himself a wife in the manner of Romulus and Augustus. When it was revealed that the grandmother of Julia Paulina, who was married to Gaius Memmius, an ex-consul who commanded armies, had once been a stunningly beautiful woman, he immediately called Julia from the province, divorced her husband, and married her. After a short period of time, he locked her away with the order that she was never to have sexual relations with anyone else. Although Caesonia was neither beautiful nor young, and was already a mother of 3 daughters by another, in addition to being a woman of reckless extravagance and wantonness, he loved her not only more passionately, but more faithfully, frequently exhibiting her to the soldiers riding by his side, decked out with cloak, helmet, and shield, and to his friends even in a state of nudity. This was despite the fact that she was already the mother of 3 daughters by another. He did not give her the title of wife until she had given birth to his child, and he made the announcement on the same day that he had married her and that he was the father of her child. This infant, whom he had already given the name Julia Drusilla, was carried by him to the temples of all the goddesses before he ultimately laid her on the lap of Minerva and entrusted her with the responsibility of the child's upbringing and education. And her wild temper, which was so aggressive even at that young age that she would try to scratch the faces and eyes of the tiny children who played with her, was the one piece of evidence that proved to him beyond a shadow of a doubt that she was born from his own loins. Chastity was not something he admired in himself or others, including his own. It is rumored that he had sexual encounters with hostages, Marcus Lepidus, and even the pantomimic actor Minster himself. Valerius Catullus, a young man who came from a line of consuls, made a public proclamation in which he claimed that he had violated the emperor and wore himself out doing business with him. To say nothing of his incest with his sisters or his infamous desire for the concubine Piralis, he approached nearly every high-ranking lady he could find. At a big meal, Caligula seated each of his sisters below him in turn, while his wife reclined above him. This was part of Caligula's ongoing incestuous relationship with all of his sisters. Of these, it is thought that he sexually assaulted Drusilla when he was still a kid. He is even believed to have been caught laying with her by his grandmother Antonia, at whose house they were brought up. After that, although she was married to Lucius Cassius Longinus, an ex-consul, he stole her away from him and openly treated her as his rightful wife. Also, when he became ill, he named her the successor to his fortune as well as the kingdom. Once she passed away, he declared a period of public mourning, during which it was a punishable offense to laugh, bathe, or dine in the company of one's parents, wife, or children. This law remained in effect until the day she was buried. He was so overcome with sorrow that he immediately left the city in the middle of the night, traveled all the way across Campania, went to Syracuse, and then hurriedly returned from there without cutting his hair or shaving his beard. He was a mess, and from that point forward he never again swore an oath regarding matters of the utmost importance, not even in front of the assembly of the people or in the sight of the troops, unless it was by the godhead of Drusilla. The rest of his sisters did not love with as much affection nor honor as highly, but he frequently prostituted them to his favorites, so that he was the tougher at the trial of Aemilius Lepidus to denounce them as adulteresses and privy to the conspiracies against him, and he not only publicly disclosed letters in the writing style of all of them, procured by forgery and seduction, but also dedicated to Mars the Avenger. The wife of Claudius I, Valeria Messalina, was even more decadent than her husband Caligula, who was known for his lavish lifestyle. She was having scandalous affairs with royal courtiers, entertainers, and soldiers, while her emperor husband was directing military expeditions across Europe to shore up the empire. The empress had the emperor order the attractive actor to leave when he refused to give up his career in order to be her full-time boyfriend. Nonetheless, the actor continued to rebuff the empress's advances. During 3 years of passionate lovemaking, the actor emerged scarred, for which the empress bestowed upon him a statue depicting his characteristics and accomplishments. During one particularly intoxicated episode, Messalina was seen dancing barefoot on top of a wooden platform at the Forum. On the other occasion, she gilded her nipples, dressed her chamber in the palace like a brothel, and invited anybody and everyone who wanted to see it. And on yet another occasion, she challenged Rome's most notorious prostitute to a contest, which the empress ultimately won by cohabiting 25 times within the span of 24 hours. Later on, she had sexual encounters with men who owed significant amounts of real estate and then sentenced them to death so that she might inherit their holdings. Finally, Claudius had enough and he ordered her execution after she married another man in a public ceremony, during which the newlyweds delighted the guests with some bedroom acrobatics. Among other things, individuals have been astonished at his absent-mindedness and blindness. Once he had killed Messalina, immediately after he sat down at the table and inquired as to the whereabouts of the empress and why she had not arrived. He forced many of those whom he had sentenced to death to be summoned by the very next day to discuss with him or game with him, and he sent a messenger to upbraid them for sleepyheads when they delayed to attend. This was done the day after he had just sentenced them to death. So that's all for today's video. We thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to subscribe to our channel for more amazing content, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. We'll see you in the next one.